Smart cities. What comes to mind when you think of smart cities? Technology, urban infrastructure challenges, data challenges? Well, have you ever heard of a smart city taking on a dirty challenge? Perplexed? Well, I'm talking of rubbish and waste management. Here in Christchurch, New Zealand, the Smart Christchurch program worked actively and intensively with its ecosystem of collaborators to contextualize, design, and deploy sensor-based technologies to address this challenge. The Smart City initiative here in Christchurch was called the Big Belly Solar-Powered Compacting Bins. And today we have with us Grace de Leon and Michael Healy, the innovation leads, to talk to us through their experiences of deploying the Big Belly bins. Welcome.
Hi, Chris.
Hi, Chris.
What prompted the Big Belly initiative?
We have consistent overflowing rubbish bins complaints here in this particular area in New Brighton. So it's near the playground. We have 3 regular rubbish bins there, which are covered, but still the seagulls can get in. So rubbish is being wind blown and it goes to the sea and it's just scattered all over the place. So we embark in a journey of identifying solutions, and one of the solutions that we found is Big Belly bins. The Big Belly bins are popular in other countries. The reason that we have selected this is because they are solar compacting bins. They have 10 times the capacity of the regular bins, and it sends notification when it's about 80% full so that the people who's collecting the bins or emptying the rubbish bins can plan their journey on when they can actually come and empty the bins.
So how did you get the community engaged in this initiative?
Initially, we had a lot of complaints coming in from the community about the state of the rubbish bins, rubbish blowing everywhere. And so we talked to a local community group about things we could collaborate on to make the situation better. And they were open to trialling the Big Belly bins to see what difference they made.
And the role of technology, how did that impact on efficiencies?
Collections went down from between 15 to 20 per day, or emptying, to 1 to 2, depending on the time of year. So that's almost 1,000% reduction in having to empty the bins.
We can be more prepared. So for example, in the summer period, if we can see that we need to empty the bins more frequently, then we can prepare during the summer period that this is how we would schedule the emptying of this particular rubbish bins.
Right, so predominantly data informing a lot of strategy at the council level, but also with that level of efficiency, are you thinking of deploying the same Big Belly bins around Christchurch and beyond?
Our recommendation when the 6-month trial was finished is that we deploy some of these Big Belly bins in coastal areas and hard to reach areas such as, for example, the Corsair Bay in Littleton, where you have to get up a narrow passageway to get to it.
Yeah, and Akaroa as well is another good example. So that's a town that is an hour's drive away from Christchurch, but still within our territory. And so what happens there, if they've got a maintenance issue, someone has to drive all the way from Christchurch to Akaroa to sort out the overflowing bin. So that's a big change in efficiency, but also from a carbon neutrality point of view, that's a lot of kilometres travelled that you can avoid as well.
Yeah.
And in Sumner, for example, there are already 6 bins that's been installed there. And part of our recommendation as well is that instead of having 3 or 4 of the regular bins, we remove those bins and then just replace it with just 1 bin, which is more efficient.
Right. Now, clearly, with these initiatives and trials, not everything goes to plan. Any key challenges that you'll encounter during the process?
We have a challenge of not engaging our business units who is responsible for collecting bins and eventually implementing the solution. So one of the key lessons we've learned is that we need to have them from the get-go, from the beginning of the project, so that we will have their buy-in. A lot of the cruise ship passengers, when they disembark, they congregate just outside the library for the free Wi-Fi. And we have found out that the Big Belly bins have the capacity to have a Wi-Fi router there. So now there are 2 Big Belly bins in Akaroa that's got Wi-Fi router, which means that we are solving 2 problems with 1 solution.
We're working with our marketing department to have a landing page for our free Wi-Fi, and it has freedom camping information. So freedom camping is very popular in New Zealand, but it brings a lot of issues with rubbish and overcrowding of some areas. So we can share that info via free Wi-Fi, which is coming from the bin, to freedom campers to help educate them about the best places to go.
Right.
So you can take a bin, you can collect rubbish, you can free Wi-Fi, you can advertise. So there's always new use cases and opportunities arising. So I would say, be open. You start doing one thing, but you can often add different strings to your bow as you go. Yeah.
So you mentioned New Zealand and you talked about freedom camping. I mean, one of the aspects that's quite unique to New Zealand is, having looked across the different smart city programs, is the ability to share and compare and contrast and share some of these experiences. Is Christchurch creating a ripple effect with the other city councils across New Zealand to share some of this experience?
We have actually called from Hamilton City Council, and I have shared them the report that we have written about the Big Belly bins, because that forms a foundation for them going through their council and say, yeah, this is what has taken place in Christchurch, and this is a solution that really works, and it can be something that we can deploy.
And especially in rural councils or rural territory where your parks might be a long distance from each other and it's a long way to drive to empty a bin, I think those sorts of areas really benefit from the technology as well.
Well, Grace and Michael, thank you very much for your time. That was Grace de Leon and Michael Healy, the innovation leads of the Smart Christchurch programme, talking to us about the deployment of the big belly bins here in Christchurch.